question that tells you exactly which world you belong to. Let's ask the one question that even the ultra-rich hesitate to answer. $10 million or 10 more years of your life? Which one would you choose? Most people would reflexively say, give me the money, because they crave the immediate. They want the shortcut. They still believe their life can be rescued by a large enough sum. But a very small circle, the true elite, no longer measures wealth in dollars, assets, or gold. For them, the ultimate luxury is not a private jet, but another year, another day, another decision they get to impose on millions. And if you were forced to choose today, $10 million or 10 more years, your answer would reveal far more about your worldview than you think. And the wrong answer proves you were never meant to win. The modern world's disease is not poverty. It is time blindness. People have grown addicted to instant gratification, discounts, bonuses, quick wins. Order now, get it today. So when you present the question, $10 million or 10 more years of life, they reach for the money without hesitation, because they don't believe in their own future, because death feels too distant, too uncomfortable, so they turn away from it. But what if you had only 3 years left? What if your body began to fail you? What if a doctor looked you in the eyes and quietly said, there is nothing more we can do? What would you give to stop the clock? At that moment, $10 million becomes nothing more than a number, a distraction, a silent reminder of what you can no longer buy. They fear someone else taking their place. The truly rich rarely fear dying. What they fear, deeply, irrationally, obsessively, is that when their time ends, their power will pass to someone else. Because think about it, 5 extra years of life for a billionaire equals 5 more years of dominance in their industry. 10 more years equals a decade of acquisitions, mergers, political influence, and strategic entrenchment. In their world, there is no such thing as retirement. They do not slow down, they do not step aside, they do not surrender control. As long as they live, they rule. And as long as they rule, they will not let anyone replace them. This is why the elite spends staggering amounts not on pleasure, but on life extension. Not because they fear dying, but because they fear losing their throne. Now we reach the point where the conversation becomes uncomfortable. Today's fastest growing luxury market is not yachts, supercars, penthouses, or private islands. It is the longevity industry, the sector whose single purpose is to slow or reverse aging, extend human lifespan, preserve biological youth, maintain peak cognitive performance into old age, buy more time, literally and strategically. This is not science fiction. It is a multi-billion-dollar global ecosystem quietly funded by people who understand one truth. Give them 10 extra years, and they will outlive entire generations of competitors. And who are these people? Jeff Bezos, financing cellular rejuvenation. Larry Page and Sergey Brin, Calico Labs, built specifically to defeat aging. Peter Thiel, parabiosis and radical therapies. Brian Johnson, extreme regenerative protocols. Middle Eastern royal heirs, private longevity clinics. East Asian billionaires, gene therapy research. Swiss institutes, full body rejuvenation programs. This world is closed, invitation only, not accessible through money alone. Here you are not buying treatment, you are buying time. It is strategic advantage. If you asked an average person what they'd do with 10 extra years, they'd say, I'd travel, I'd rest, I'd spend time with my family. A billionaire thinks entirely differently. 10 extra years means 10 more years to control markets, 10 more years to shape global narratives, 10 more years to influence political decisions, 10 more years to outrun competitors, 10 more years to position themselves above future generations. They don't want more life. They want more time to dominate the game they already control. For them, one more year equals a new empire built. One more month equals a new strategic alliance formed. One more day equals a decision sign that shifts billions. In their world, time is geopolitical ammunition. Extending it is not a medical goal. It is a power move. Throughout history, civilizations were divided by wealth, birthright, military strength, or political influence. For the first time, humanity is witnessing the rise of a new caste, the time elite. Those who live longer and therefore rule longer. Their advantage is not $10 million. Their advantage is 10 additional years at the top of the pyramid. And those 10 years reshape elections, redirect economies, buy entire nations, and redefine the course of technology. While you live within the biological limits of a typical human lifespan, they think in horizons of 90, 100, even 120 years. This is no longer a gap. This is a biomechanical advantage, a structural imbalance, and ultimately, a new civilizational divide. They lose their lifetime. The average person spends life complaining about the lack of money. But they do not lose money, they lose years. Years working for goals that aren't their own. Years stuck in obligations they didn't choose. Years traded away for an income that barely lets them survive. Years they can never buy back, even with all the money they hope to earn. And when they finally have some savings, it is already too late. This is the system. The poor chase money. The middle class trades time for money. The elite buys other people's time and then extends their own. This is why the world is not divided by wealth. It is divided by time. For most people, this question feels like a moral dilemma, a fantasy, something you debate over coffee. For the elite, it isn't a dilemma at all, because they don't choose between money and time. They design a system where they take both. $10 million is not a reward to them. It's a tool, a lever, a way to buy other people's labor, attention, compliance, and most importantly, their time. While you trade your life hour by hour for income, they use money to compress years into decisions. That's the asymmetry no one likes to talk about. The elite don't ask, how do I make more money? They ask, how do I stay in control long enough for the game to end in my favor? That's why they invest in longevity, influence, insulation, and delay. Delay competitors, delay consequences, delay replacement. 10 more years doesn't mean 10 more birthdays to them. It means 10 more years deciding who rises and who doesn't. 10 more years shaping markets before regulations exist. 10 more years setting traps others will walk into later. 10 more years staying irreplaceable. They don't buy time to live longer. They buy time to remain unavoidable. And once you understand that, the question changes completely. Because the real currency was never money. It was duration at the top. So ask it again. Not quickly, not emotionally, not the way social media wants you to answer. $10 million or 10 more years. Now you see what the question actually measures. It doesn't test greed. It doesn't test morality. It tests how you understand life. Money feels urgent because you're trained to believe time is infinite. But time feels priceless the moment you realize it isn't. Money can be lost, recovered, multiplied, rebuilt after collapse. Time doesn't negotiate. Once it's gone, it doesn't return interest. It doesn't forgive bad decisions. It doesn't care what you meant to do. Every year you trade away quietly becomes someone else's advantage. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people don't lose their lives suddenly. They spend them slowly, one compromise at a time, one obligation at a time, one later at a time. Until one day, there is no later left. So the real question was never, which would you choose? The real question is this: who has been choosing for you so far? And how many years of your life are already gone, not because you decided to give them away, but because you never realized they were being taken? That's the game. And now that you see it, you can't unsee it. If this video made you think, if it showed you a world you always felt was real but no one ever dared to explain, then you're exactly where you need to be. Fake-off luxury isn't about admiration, it's about revelation. We uncover the systems the elite will never discuss and reveal what luxury really means behind the curtain. If you're ready to see more, subscribe, give it a like, turn on notifications, and stay with us. Because in this world, those who know the rules play a completely different game.